Hi guys, my name is Lucia and welcome back to another video in my series Make Up Your Mind, where I talk about makeup related things I have made my mind up about. If you've missed any videos in this series, I will link my playlist down below. Today's topic is brands that milk off the success of older products. So basically when brands come out with something and then it's really popular and then they come out with 1,000 more things that have the name of that one popular thing, or they make it into a whole line, or stuff like that. This does not just happen in the beauty industry. Every industry where there is room to make money, this happens. And I will tell you why. It happens because of something called a built-in audience. A built-in audience is an audience that already exists and is passionate for a certain thing. This happens constantly in the television and movie industry. Why do you think so many old shows are being rebooted, even though the reboots are terrible? It's because they have a built-in audience. Making a product with a built-in audience is far less risky than coming out with an original thing. But often the rewards of creating an original idea can be so rewarding, way more rewarding than coming out with something for a target audience. We crave something different. We crave people with original ideas and creativity and something when you can tell someone is inspired to do something new. We love that as people. But as a brand or as someone trying to sell something, it's very risky. I always give disclaimers in this series, and the disclaimer for today is I'm not saying that a built-in audience is all evil, and I'm not saying targeting a built-in audience is all bad and you should never do it. It's really fun sometimes, and having series and coming out with something that's really good, and then, for example, this is now a series on my channel, and I really like it, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it's milked so much to the point where there's no creativity anymore. They're just trying to get the built-in audience to buy something else because they don't want to think of something new. Okay, so I hope that introduction made sense. I'm going to get into the brands and the products. The first brand is Too Faced, and you guys were wondering why I didn't talk about Too Faced in my last video, which was makeup brands that need to slow down their releases. And in all honesty, I had Too Faced first on my list. I got so annoyed at looking at the brand name, I said, oh, I'll talk about it last, and then I forgot about it. But you guys already know I drag Too Faced through the dirt in this series all the time, so I'm not gonna make this super long, but I want to at least talk about it. Too Faced palettes. First, we just had the chocolate bar palette, and there was the naturalized palette and some other palettes. The chocolate bar palette did really well, so they created the semi-sweet chocolate bar palette, and then the bonbons chocolate palette. And then they thought, what are other foods that we can do? Because that's a thing that everyone needs. So they did the peanut butter and jelly and the honey, and then the peach palette happened, and you already know where I am going with this. They came out with the peach palette, and then the entire peach line, and now they are just popping out as many peach related things as they possibly can because, hey, the peach palette did well, so why not? We have a built-in audience for people who like peaches and makeup. Let's just go for it. The problem lies in the quality. I have heard that these newer peach shadows are not as good. I've even heard that the peach palette isn't as good as when it first came out and was limited edition. I can't say if that's true. I've never tried it, but they're losing their creativity. They're losing their sense of let's wait and make something that's really good quality. They're just saying we better keep this audience. Too Faced, your audience is not going anywhere. These people who like these palettes, they're not leaving. Because there's so many makeup options to choose from now, I feel like brands think, oh, we have to make something every week or people will leave. That is not the case. If you have a built-in audience or you have any dedicated audience to your brand, they're not gonna leave. So what is with all these peach things? I want to see something new from Too Faced. And when I say new, I do not mean the unicorn line. Really? A unicorn line? Really? Seriously? Really? The next brand I want to talk about is Benefit, and specifically Benefit Hoola. Back in the day when we only had those super cult classics, Benefit Hoola was definitely one of them. Then they came out with the whole Hoola line that was in the pump, and it's the liquid bronzer, and then they had something for the body, and they sent a bunch of influencers somewhere tropical when they released this, and so that's probably one of the only reasons it was talked about. I've heard it was super bad. I've heard the liquid bronzer was super orange. Lauren May Beauty and I collabed last week, and she talked about this in her video. Benefit is boring. They don't come out with new fun stuff. Why don't they try something new and different? They just come out with mascaras and brow products, and they have their blushes, and it's like, great, you have another mascara, you have another blush, you can put hula on a name of something else, but where is the creativity? Benefit is a big brand. If they did something new and different, I really think people would go for it. So why don't they? I don't understand. The world is their oyster. Like, do it. If you want to do something, do it. Go for it. Don't worry about making a built-in audience. You will make a new product, it'll be really successful, and then a built-in audience will come from that product. Look at Stranger Things. Stranger Things was a nobody show. No one knew who the actors were aside from Winona Ryder. The brothers who write that show are not popular writers, and now everyone can't get enough. All right, let's talk about Urban Decay and the Urban Decay Naked palettes. You guys know, if you saw my Pan That Palette finale, that I no longer enjoy the Naked palette. It's just because I've moved on. It's boring. When it was super popular, I was in love with it. It was the only palette that I used, but I'm not inspired anymore. I think that the quality is nothing you can't find in other places. I think that they lack in matte shades. The colors don't make sense to me that much. They had the Naked 1, the 2 and 3, then they had the Smoky palette. It didn't do well. They like banned it, and then they came out with the Naked Heat. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say that the Naked Heat didn't do super well. Urban Decay can release as many Naked palettes as they want, and they will do super well. I am just putting my 2 cents onto this, that to me, the Naked palette was called the Naked palette because it had neutral shades, and it was basic, and it was something that you could put on your eyes and it would look natural, and then you could go. And the Naked Heat defeats that purpose to me. It is a colorful palette, and the colors look beautiful. I would never buy this palette, but they look great. They're fine, whatever. I personally think that Urban Decay could do so much if they created another eyeshadow line that had to do with brights, because they had the electric palette and that did super well. If they left the Naked line, if they said, okay, we're done making Naked, but we're gonna make, I don't know, jungle or color. I'm not a brand creator. I don't know things like this, but if they took some fun way to twist, maybe going off of the Naked line, but the opposite, and they did something with super fun colors, I think people would eat it up. They would lose their minds. But they don't do that. They just think, all right, we have the Naked line, we'll just build off of that. I don't know, I just want to see something different. I'm so bored with all these releases. I want something new. I want something fresh. Next is Tarte and Shape Tape. I'm not going to go into the Shape Tape foundation. You guys know that I have put shade on that in other videos. Basically, you should know, yeah, the Shape Tape foundation happened because of Tarte Shape Tape concealer, but I want to talk about the Tarte Shape Tape eye primer. What the hell is this? Look at this thing. It has not only the same name as the concealer, but the same exact packaging. It doesn't matter if this is the best eye primer to ever exist ever. They only made this because it has the name Shape Tape and maybe someone would buy it. What? Like, it just makes me so mad, because where is the creativity? You are Tarte. You could do so much, but instead you release foundations that cater to like 2% of the population, and then you release boring products like this just because you want to make an extra dime from your Shape Tape concealer? Come on. Woo, got heated there for a second. Okay. Next is Stila, and I want to talk about Stila Kitten. If you don't know, Stila Kitten is a super creamy, super pigmented champagne eyeshadow, and it used to be Stila's #1 thing about their brand. That's what they were known for, was Kitten. And I remember in freshman year of high school, which was 4 years ago, I had an eyeshadow palette with Kitten. And I remember everyone would always talk about when their new eyeshadow palettes would come out, they would say, look, it has Kitten in it. And I was like, okay, that's great. I've seen a lot of things that Stila does. I know that they had a palette. I can't remember the name of it, and I'm not sure if I'll find it, but they had a highlighter. It was named Kitten. They have this Stila All Over Shimmer Liquid Luminizer in Kitten Shimmer. And I know just in general, across the board, I have seen Stila continue to reuse the name Kitten. And I just think Stila needs something new. It's stale now. Kitten doesn't have the appeal. First of all, I don't even think eyeshadow palettes come out with champagne colors anymore, because after the Naked palette, they were so overdone that I think people got tired of them. They're not that special. I don't wear champagne on my eyes ever. I don't know when is the last time I have done that, probably a year or two, because it's not special anymore. I think at one point that was like the most color that was normal was, you know, the pink champagne, and now color is way more normalized than it used to be. Trying to milk off of the success of something that isn't really in the trend anymore, it's just frustrating. Next is the IT Cosmetics CC cream, and everyone lost their minds over this. And I know people still talk about it sometimes, but a couple years ago this was so popular. I know Jessica Braun used to absolutely rave about this. She still does every once in a while. I tried a sample of it once and I liked it, so I would like to try it again. They came out with the CC Cream Illuminator, and people absolutely hated it. It's basically the dewy version of their original foundation, and you know, a lot of people do this. L'Oreal Pro Matte Foundation, is that what it's called? True Match, whatever. They came out with the Pro Glow version of that. A lot of times when you see foundations that are matte come out with the glowy version, it doesn't work. I don't know why that is, but a lot of times people don't like it, and I don't know, it's just kind of a cop-out to me. If you're gonna make a foundation, it doesn't have to have the same name as something else, because maybe it's not supposed to be in that formula. There's a reason why the glowy foundation didn't work the way the matte one did, or not that the CC cream is matte, but you know, it's not marketed as a illuminizer or a glowy thing or whatever. Sometimes I just wish brands would let things be. You had a really good success, maybe you made a whole line from it, but I don't like when years later they are still making something from something that was done. Like, it's done. You made it, it was good, it had its run. Do something new. I don't want to see a throwback product from years ago be brought back with something else that has the name slapped on it. Like, that's not inspiring. Cover FX did this with their custom color drops. These were really revolutionary when they came out. It was the idea that you can buy a shade that is either too light or too dark, and you can mix it in with other foundations to get your color. You can mix it in with moisturizer to make a foundation. You know, I don't hear people talk about them anymore. They're really expensive. I think they're $44, but for a while there, they were really raved about. And now Cover FX has the glitter drops. It's the same packaging, it's the same idea, it's a droppy thing, except it's glitter liquid? I don't know. I know I talked about this in another Make Up Your Mind video, but it's just weird to me when this isn't necessarily the same name, but you see what they're doing there. They're taking the packaging and they're taking the success and the same applicator and they're making a similar thing. And I don't know, I kind of feel like this would have been more interesting if it was in a pot. I feel like the dropper version is just not convenient, and I know people who love glitter, some people love this, and I'm not saying that it's bad. I've never tried it. The drops came out years ago, and now you're making the new glitter drops. It was just kind of like, all right, another built-in audience, here we go. Which is strange because glitter is a totally different audience than mixing drops for foundation. I don't know, I feel like they didn't have to use their old packaging. They could have just done something new. Maybe you're gonna say, oh, well, that's just Cover FX packaging, and maybe it is, but I don't know, I would have liked to see something that isn't droppy. I think the glitter drops are overdone already. Last, I want to talk about the Modern Renaissance palette and the Subculture palette. Anastasia does this a lot. They release a palette and then they release a companion palette. For example, Moonchild and Aurora, or Modern Renaissance and Subculture. We all know the drama. Modern Renaissance was the most raved about palette for years. I don't think it's as raved about anymore. I know I don't use it as much as I used to, but for about 2 years there, it was the everything. Then the Subculture was supposed to be the sister palette. Again, they were going off of the success of their Modern Renaissance palette. And the Subculture didn't even really have to do anything with the Modern Renaissance, aside from the fact that they said to us, it's the sister palette. There you go, boom, built an audience. The whole makeup world is now listening, because Anastasia says we're not only coming out with a palette, it's a sister palette to your favorite palette of all time. We all know the drama, some people love it and some people hate it. My camera was overheating, so I don't remember quite where I was, but yeah, just basically, it was another tactic. There was a built-in audience, and there you go. Not that Anastasia needs it, you know, just as a brand, most of these big brands have built-in audiences just because of the brand name. Alright guys, so that was everything for this video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts about this topic. I would love to hear more people talking about this, and yeah, leave your comments down below, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye!